With Sydney Swans completely messing up their chances of the top 8, it's now more important who's going to make the top 4. So let's get picking who we think is going to get that little bit closer this week. First things first, let's see how we did in round 20. A mixed bag last week, let's just say. So Thursday, 24th, it was Hawthorn versus Carlton. And, well, Hawthorn got the job done as predicted. Carlton have been low scoring most of the season. They've struggled. Hawthorn had that resurgence. They are fighting again for the top 4, and they got the win. I did Hawthorn to win by 38. They won by 24. So I was slightly off. I only get the point for the win. Next on Friday was Essendon versus the Dogs. Now, I did Western Bulldogs. I thought comfortable win, 53. That's a decent amount. No, they blew that out of the water. Western Bulldogs were fantastic and they won by 93 points. Just incredible. Very, very good performance. And yeah, once again, they've still got the chance. Bulldogs are in 9th place at the moment. 4 points behind. 1 win behind Gold Coast. A little bit further. It's still going to be tough now. It's still going to be very tough, but I get 1 point for the win. Oh my God. This is so depressing because Sydney, look, we probably weren't going to make the top 8 anyway. We still had teams such as Geelong to play, but we did have a couple of easy games. We were sensational that first half. Sensational. Probably the best I've seen us all season. And then what the hell happened? Toby Green basically says Tom Papley's overweight. And then he plays like he's overweight. And we absolutely... Oh, man. It's just nightmares thinking about it. Absolute nightmares. Awful. Just awful second half. Like, one of the worst second halves I've ever seen from a team. And that meant Giants ran out winners. I did Swans by 14 and Giants won by 44. So nothing for me. Let's move on. That was sad. Next game. What a game for Gold Coast. Wow. Gold Coast versus Brisbane. I did Brisbane to win by 35. Most people went for Brisbane here. No one did. No one did Gold Coast to win anywhere near 66 points. Just fantastic. That drops Brisbane down into 3rd place now with Gold Coast a little bit safer in the 8th spot. And actually, is that the form? Is that the performance they need to get them over the line? Fingers crossed for them. I get no points, unfortunately. Then Freo versus West Coast, the West Coast derby. It was 126 to 77. Freo, I did to win by 48. They won by 49. So very, very good. I think no one would have gotten very few people would have got an exact. I know there's quite a few there that looks like they did it by 50 or more. Anyway, they got the job done. They didn't really need anything else. Freo in 7th. They are almost there. Almost there. Possibly one more win, I reckon. One more win to get in the top 8. But there is still a fight for the top 4. There is from 7th to 4th on 52 points at the moment. That's the hot race now, the top 4. 1.5 points for me. Next game was North versus Geelong. Predicted correctly. However, this time I didn't predict by enough. I did Geelong to win by 80. They won by 101. Blowing North out of the water, which most teams have done this year. A solid performance by Cats. They're in 4th, and they needed that. They needed that just to give them that little bit of momentum, keep them building, build. 1 point for me. Then Crows versus Port. I did Crows to win by 29. They won by 98. What are you doing, Port? Port, oh man, they've been painful, haven't they? They've either had some absolutely quality games or they've been destroyed. Very few average games, and sometimes average is enough. Average would almost get you into the top 8. 1 point for the win. Good. Then Richmond versus Collingwood. Now, Collingwood, it wasn't all their way this game. Richmond were fighting them for most parts of the game. However, Collingwood were able to push away at the end. I wasn't sure if I was going to make that 42 shot difference, but I did. So I'm good. 1.5 points for the win. Then, after the siren, Saints got a win. I do love Cardi on his little vlog, was so happy And I just think to myself, they're 14th in the league. They're 14th in the league. Like, what are you so happy for? They've been awful. They've been awful all season, and that one little kick made people so happy. I don't have to cry or to laugh. Yeah, look, D's just, that sums up their season. To be honest, I get no points. So the leaderboard, and nothing has changed in the top 5. Aussie Dylan, Jaden Saints, Hazza, and Vam H, all in the top 4, sorry. And then Yin up 4 to 5th. Red Dragon down 1 to 6th. You've got Guru up 3 to 7th. Magpie Paulie and Stinky Pinky down 2. And Ragnarok X is in the top 10. Let's see some big movers, shall we? Tom's here now, up 14 places. That's a lot of places at this part of the season. Up to 15th. Well done. Rymeister out. No, he's not. Sorry, still out. Still out, should I say. Down 6 to 17th. Down 10 is Swanee Steve. Up 15 is Specky. So there we're still getting some. Bologna up down 9, down 9 to 44th. Mighty Muffin up 12 to 48th. Polish Power up 14 to 51st. So we're getting some movers, which is crazy to see at this time of the season. Up 10 Adelaide Bulldog. Oh, the Wooden Spoon goes to Banger Harvey, down 16 to 77th place. And right underneath pretty much, the Golden Hat goes to Thunder in the Nest, up 15 places to 81st. Well done. Where am I? That is the question. Oh, I've broken the top 100. It's so embarrassing. Oh, man, I did so much better last year, and I used less research, and I went on gut feeling. This year, I'm using more research, and I'm doing worse. I'm up to 99th place. I will take that. I can't see myself getting much further than that, to be fair, so I'm happy. I'm happy-ish. Down 13 is Ballistic there. That's not great. Let's see where everyone else has finished. Look out for your name if you want to, and there we have it. On to this week, round 21 then, and we start Marvel. It is Western Bulldogs versus Giants. Now, this is an interesting game because, once again, it's a game where both teams still do need to win. You know, they've got to win, especially Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs got a really important win last week. They really needed that. And Bulldogs, they thrive at Marvel Stadium and certainly need this win to stay in contention. I think possibly if they don't get this win, the top 8 is done. GWS, they will be without Toby Green. He's suspended, but it wasn't for... I did see a clip where he actually swung his foot back at one of our players, which was not good. Josh Kelly also out. Possibly, I say who's got momentum? Both teams a little bit. After that last week's win, for both teams, should be fairly confident going into this week. It's a difficult one. Do you know what? After last week's Derby win, I'm going to go with Dogs to win. Plus, I'm peed off with Giants. Dogs by 10. That's what I'm going with. Okay, next one, Friday. Adelaide Oval. It is Crows versus Hawthorn. A very, very interesting matchup here. Crows had an exceptional performance last week against their rivals. Port and Hawthorn on fantastic form equally themselves. Both in fantastic form. Hawthorn had a little bit of a blip with a loss, but doing really, really well. Crows now second in the league as well, which is very, very big. They're only 4 points off Collingwood. So there is potential for Adelaide, especially, to potentially get that top spot still. It's going to be difficult, but there is the option to do it still with a few games left. I think with the home, it's difficult because, look, last week, at the end of the day, Hawthorn played Carlton last week. No real test. I'm sorry, no real test. Port, they weren't a real test either. So I've got to give it with that home advantage. League position as well. That doesn't say much really because it's so tight. I'm going to say Crows win here. Being at the Oval, Crows to win. Let's do by 12. A difficult one to call that. Let's do that. Saturday at Marvel, Melbourne versus West Coast. Look, I know Melbourne lost after the siren. Very, very tight game. They could have won if they didn't slip up. West Coast, look, I still cannot see them getting another win this season. I really can't. Melbourne, on paper, are a better team, stronger players. And I think I would like to think D's will be a bit more ruthless after what happened last week with that such a tight loss that they suffered. West Coast should be on holiday now, let's be honest. It's difficult because both teams are playing so bad. But on paper, D's have the better team. They are not travelling too far as well. Melbourne by 28. That's what I'm going to go with. Okay, People First Stadium. Gold Coast versus Richmond. Richmond obviously lost last week. Richmond have seemed to have beat teams that they, similar-ish ability with, but cannot buy a win any other way. Gold Coast, a much, much needed win last week. A fantastic result against Brisbane. That is going to put them on a serious high, no doubt about it. So does that mean Gold Coast potentially surging into safety? With the top 4 spots still up for grabs for them, they are only 4 points off that. So they can still get that. It's ridiculous how tight it is. I don't even think there's much interest now in the top 8. It's about making the top 4. So, there's only one winner here, isn't there? There is only one. I think Gold Coast could also regain Tuke Miller as well, which adds a bit more strength. And Richmond have just been poor, despite 2 wins from the last 3 games. Gold Coast to win here. Should be a confident win. It's at People First Stadium. Gold Coast by 75 points. Next, the farewell tour, basically. The farewell tour for the summer holidays. Well, it's not summer holidays, is it? No, we'll be coming into summer holidays. It's coming into spring. Yeah, whatever, something like that. The spring holidays, because our season is almost done. However, Essendon, their season has been done a long time ago. I think Swans should rebound. It's so gutting because I still don't think we would have made it. Because even if we were on 4 points, we were still 8 points behind the next team. We probably weren't going to make it anyway. It's just such a shame we had that such fantastic form, playing so much better so late into the season. Absolutely gutting. But this is the farewell tour for the season, so I cannot see us losing against an Essendon side who have been woeful. They have been woeful. I don't think being at the SCG really makes much difference because it hasn't made any difference all season for us. Injury crisis for Essendon. They've actually named 14 debutants amid a serious injury crisis they've had. A very inexperienced lineup for sure. We obviously have had big injury problems, and that's possibly the reason for the poor start to the season, but Essendon has just continued. But look, Swans to win this. Farewell tour for the season. 60-point win for Swans. Next, MCG. Collingwood versus Brisbane. It's difficult. Collingwood have had their blips. Brisbane, they obviously lost last week. They had a blip, 6 weeks plus ago. Really difficult test this. It is at MCG, which is obviously Collingwood's home ground, so that's positive for them. They have, on paper, been the best side this season. I just feel, I don't know how Brisbane will react to that humiliation last week, because it was a humiliation, and they've had it a couple of times this year, and they normally react quite positively and bounce back. I just think, look, Lions have a few injuries, but they still have the firepower and ability to challenge Collingwood at this time of the season. Brisbane will still really want that second place spot, at least. Do you know what? I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going to go with rebounding. Collingwood have shown signs of weakness. People will say I'm an idiot. I'm going to go for a Brisbane win by 6. I'm going to go for the rebound. They normally rebound well. Let's just go with that. Let's go with that and move on. Okay, Marvel, Sunday, Saints versus North. Both have won 1 game in the last 7. Both teams are shocking. On paper, this should be a Saints win. They did manage to beat D's, who are in a similar position as them as well. Look at it. I think that win would have given them lots of confidence. It's a nothing game. And that does, like I said last week, what a game that ended up being. What a game the Saints D's game ended up being. And it meant nothing. It literally meant next to nothing. But it did show that last week did show some potential that Saints could have. They just have not shown it or have not been able to produce it enough. North, the Roos, they just... I still say I think they're a plucky team, but they just cannot get the results. They just do not have the quality, I'm afraid. They have the effort. They do not have the quality. If you're looking at talent, natural talent, a little bit more experience, it's a Saints win here. So that's what I'm going to go with. Saints to win by 22. Okay, penultimate game at the litter tray. Cats versus Port. Oh, yeah, Port, look, they had a little bit of a resurgence, but it wasn't enough, was it? It was like Sydney, but worse. Geelong, they've lost once this year at the litter tray. I think it was only once that I can remember. They are then for the hunt for the top four. They are in the top four, but need to push on with teams below them really creeping up. They're against Port, who got absolutely destroyed last week against Crows, which is not great for them at all. Port technically have nothing to play for, and I don't see them turning up for this game. Cats experienced, they've got the quality. They should avoid the slip up against Port here. I don't see a bounce back for Port. So Geelong to win by 40. Let's try that. And the last game, Optus, it is Freo versus Carlton. Freo in 7th place. As I said, probably one more win and that's enough. 4, 6, 8 points clear. So one more win will be enough, I think. Pretty much on shot difference. Okay, on the percentage average, whatever you call it. Okay, so Freo, look, if they win, done. I think they're done. Dockers, they've got strong home advantage here, strong home support as well, and it'll be a tough trip for Carlton, who they've got players out, Charlie Curnow and etc. etc. I just think Carlton are going to be on such a low all season, and the fact they've finished in 12th just sums up how bad the teams below them were. Let's finish this up. Let's guess. It is a guess. Of course it is. Freo to win. Let's do another 40. Freo by 40. So there we have it. We're on the cusp of the finals, aren't we? We are so close, and it is pretty much wrapped up with one place left to play for, and then it's the challenge for the top four. I would say that, people moan about the Premier League, for example, and a lot of football leagues. Oh, the season's done weeks and weeks before. Well, actually, yeah, there's more to play for in, say, the Premier League than there currently is at the moment in here, because there is only Western Bulldogs that have a chance to make top 8, to make the finals, and everyone else is done for. And so half the league is done. It's done, and there is no relegation to try and survive. There's no anything else. But they're the picks for this week. Hopefully we'll have some quality games again. Make sure you like and subscribe, everyone. And thank you so much. Sorry about being late for this video because I've been in Slovakia. So this is the best I've got. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and I will catch you next time.